And now, AUTONOMONORANIUM-X. This week's field of study fable, the time travel detective.
Countdown to fusion.
5.
Activate autonomous brain function.
4.
Charge Dolby Phonic monolistic acoustics.
3.
Radiation levels at optimum output.
2.
Introducing experimental element X.
1.
Blast off.
Between the opposing forces of fear and imagination, along the equator of desire, perpendicular to the poles of madness and sanity, in the middle of the unknown night, waiting for the dawn of insight, here is a place the brave have named, but only the brave have heard. AUTONOMONORANIUM-X.
Imagine you were a professor, and you invented a cake. Now, imagine if you can. Even though you owned and created that cake, you couldn't eat it. Why would you want to own that cake? The cake you can't eat? Now imagine that cake is a time machine, and the eating of the cake is the gratifying use of the chrono conveyance. Because as the old saying goes, you can't have your time machine and make the cake you've already eaten.
Now listen here, see? If you just tell me how to activate your machine, Prof, we can both walk away from this rich men.
Look, I've been trying to tell you, you do not want to activate the machine. Time travel is very complicated and you will not be able to use it the way you think you can.
How hard could it be? Slip back in time, put a few bets on the GGs, maybe claim to write a song or two, stop the mayor of the city from being born. You know, simple stuff.
Please believe me, it does not work that way. If you turn that machine on, all you'll end up with is a bullet in the arm.
Threats now, huh? Well, I didn't want to have to do this, Prof, but we got your niece here, see? Bring her in, boys.
Uncle Lucy!
Yeah. You tell me how to activate your machine, Prof, or I'll fill her so full of holes you'll think she was a gas, see?
What? Why would you do that? I was telling you not to turn the machine on for your own good. I'm not worried about you committing crimes that mess with the fabric of space and time because I know you won't be able to. But all right, I'll tell you how to turn it on. There was no need to threaten my niece.
Okay, Prof, now you're talking.
Okay, now turn the Cronus chronometer 50% degrees to the right, and then press the red button to start it warming up.
I can't wait to be rolling in that sweet green. I'm gonna buy myself a monkey.
Don't forget to put on your safety armband.
I ain't never worried about not needing to wear no gosh darn armband, see?
Wait, was that a quadruple negative?
My two goons, they both got a crack on their melons. But by who? Ah, my gun!
Freeze, Michael McMubby. Born June 20th, 1918 in Glasgow, Scotland. Moved to America when he was 8. Never knew who his father was, but it was old Jimmy McFrickface who used to deliver vegetables. When he was 10, he hid some illegal fireworks underneath his grandmother's house, which caused the house to burn down, killing his grandmother and one of his brothers. No one suspected him and he's never admitted to it, except in confession. And even then he blamed his own dead brother, saying it was him who hid the fireworks there. He doesn't know it, but if he had followed Mary Jane to those rehearsals of an Inspector Calls, he'd be a famous radio actor by now. But then again, if he hadn't killed old Jimmy McFrickface, he'd have a best friend and a father as well.
What? Who are you? Wait, Jimmy? Jimmy was my dad?
He's Joe Mash, private detective.
So you've come to save the professor and his niece?
I've never met these people before in my life, and I don't know who they are.
Ah, interesting.
Get over here. I'm gonna hide in this corner with this gun in your back. When I come through that machine, I'll ask you a question. You tell him it's 1943.
What? But it's 19...
Shut up. I know what year it is. Now you tell him it's 1943, and there's a tree growing in Mr. B. Harry's garden.
Huh? What was that last bit?
As a tree growing in Mr. B. Harry's garden. Hey, buddy, What year is it? And how is it manifested?
It's 1943, and there's a tree growing in Mr. B. Harry's garden.
Thanks. You'll be rewarded well.
What's going on? How did you know my dad? How did you know Mary Jane?
Shut up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, I gotta go. You know the trouble I've been through because of what you told me?
Yes, eh? But you told me to say that. Professor, tell him. Tell him. You were here.
Why, you rat, Michael. I'm gonna kill you. People. I haven't seen people in years. I've seen dinosaurs. I've eaten dinosaurs. Michael. Your name is Michael. I have a message for you, Michael. You must see Sam soon and give him back the compass you stole. He won't be angry.
What? How did you know Sam soon? Who told you that?
You did, Michael. You did. Now I must go and take with me this man I just knocked out. Who is he, anyway? Huh, it's me. I should have guessed.
Professor! What's going on?
It's not over yet. They'll tell you when it's over.
Whoa! Sorry for all the trouble, folks. We had quite an adventure, didn't we? I'm not sure what part you all played in this room here, but I thank you. I've seen things no other man could, and I wouldn't have changed a thing. Not that I didn't try, huh? Am I right? Am I right? Well, I gotta get back to this thing that's happening back here. I'll see ya, and sorry for the inconvenience. Carry on with whatever it was you folks were doing. Bye! Michael, it's over.
My arm!
I told you to wear the safety armband.
What in the hell in just Bessie's name happened?
I told you wouldn't be able to use it. You've just encountered the very same problem I have with time travel. A problem I've been working on for the past 6 years.
What? Some lousy flatfoot using your machine at the same time? Well, we'll just go find that nutball and sock him in the jaw, see?
I'm afraid going and finding someone to sock in the jaw just won't solve this problem. Let me play you back some tapes of my experiments. You see, when I say I had the exact same experience as you, what I really meant was I had the exact same experience as you, and at the same time a very different one.
What in the gravy are you babbling about? How's this gonna place some bets on the things I knows what's happened before the time I didn't, so I's got the molars I wants?
If you would please have some patience, I'm sure these tapes will help even you understand what you need to. Here we are. I'm turning the Chronos chronometer 50% degrees to the right, and I will then engage the startup process. That's me, having turned the Chronos chronometer 50% degrees, engaging the startup process with the red button. I'm putting on my safety armband. I'm just putting the armband on there. Just waiting for it to reach the right levels of chronometer. I'm just waiting for the chronometer to reach the right levels of conductivity to allow the stream of space-time to converge upon the apex of the flow condenser. That will be Joe. Come in. This is Joe number 1.
Hello, Professor. Born April 20th, 1877 in a Bornean rainforest where your father owned a tobacco farm. He died after an Indonesian threadworm somehow burrowed into his ear. Funny thing about that worm, sometimes called an earwig, it can't turn around, so it continues to travel through the host's brain. Your father spent 3 agonizing weeks tied to a bed so he couldn't tear his own face off. He was the first man to ever survive a threadworm, but died soon after when he slipped on a roller skate, threw a pane of glass over a balcony and onto the back of a truck that took him to the garbage tip and dropped him in the furnace, where a friendly hobo pulled him to safety in the nick of time. It was this hobo from who your father caught the hepatitis that killed him and your mother the next day. You vowed that day to study the sciences and become the best doctor in your field, so that someday you could find a cure for not leaving your roller skate in the hallway like your father constantly told you not to. But then, how could you know that if that skate wasn't there, there was another series of events involving a box of sick, a hostess trolley, and a trip to the red light district would have ended in much the same way.
It's good to see an iteration of you again, Joe. You have a message for me to give to you?
That's right, Prof.
I'll assume we haven't the time for pleasantries, Joe. So just tell me the message and you can hide in the corner there.
Okay. Tell me it's 1927, and it's a crystal sphere being exhibited at the Alpen Museum.
Okay, Joe. And this is Joe number 2.
Excuse me, sir, but could you tell me what year it is and how it has manifested itself?
It's 1927, Joe, and it's manifested as a crystal sphere being exhibited at the Alpen Museum.
Thank you, sir, but I don't believe we've met.
It's all I can do not to giggle like a schoolgirl when it's this bit. What a man believes and what is true are two very different things, Joe.
Thanks, buddy. I'll make sure you're rewarded for this. Thanks, Prof. I know you'll understand. I did not mean to promise you a reward I can't give you.
No trouble, Joe.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thanks for everything, Prof. I gotta go.
This is Joe number 3.
Prof, why? Why did you tell me that stuff? You know the trouble I've been through because of what you told me?
Now calm down, Joe. I'm sure there's a reason. It was you, after all, who told me to tell you that.
Why, you lousy double-crossing, I'll kill you!
Now this is Joe number 4. It would seem he spent quite a while isolated in a prehistoric time.
Another person? I haven't seen another person in... I've seen dragons. I've seen metallic women taller than the trees. You're the professor. I remember you now. I have a message for you, Prof. Give up, Prof. Forget the time machine.
I can't, Joe. I fear that message can only be delivered in person.
I think I understand, Prof. Now I must go and take with me this man I just knocked out. Who is he anyway? It's me. I should have guessed.
Next, it's Joe number 5. He appears to be attending some sort of party-like function. One can only imagine what...
Whoa! Sorry for all the trouble, Prof. We had quite an adventure, didn't we? I'm not sure what part you played in this room here, but I thank you. I've seen things no other man could, and I wouldn't have changed a thing. Not that I didn't try, huh? Am I right? Am I right? Well, I gotta get back to this thing that's happening back here. I'll see you, and sorry for the inconvenience. Carry on with whatever it was you were doing, Prof. Bye!
Now, just to brace myself for the end, you'll hear the strange sound of Joe number 6 popping into existence.
Prof, it's over.
My arm. So you see, there is no way of using this machine. I've engaged it so many times, and every time the same. Joe Mash will turn up, although it's not really the same man. He'll never look the same or sound the same, and he'll go through the same pattern time and time again. I've recorded it, I've studied it, and as far as I can make out, there's at least 6 iterations of Joe each time, and his adventures span tens of thousands of years into the future and the past. In his personal experience time, it must be 7 to 13 years, or maybe more. The adventure itself is largely the same, with maybe 1 or 2 variables, and when it's all over, there's no record or evidence that the man even existed. There's no records of him or the actions he's performed, except for the gunshot to the arm at the end. I can only assume this to be something that has a knock-on effect, holding the fabric of space and time together. As with Professor Weisenheimer's famous theory of the ladybird effect.
You mean the theory that says if a series of children's books were left in prehistoric time, we would have invented the everlasting porridge pot in prehistory?
And that is exactly it, my dear. Where was I? Yes, the gunshot wound to the arm. When inspected, there's no bullet. It never existed, but you'll notice the wound is very real. The fact that I see this as a paradox just illustrates how ignorant I am in these matters.
There must be some way to distract him and use the machine.
Joe will always be literally 1,000 years ahead of you.
Yeah, see, but what if we went to the desert so we could see him, see?
I tried that. Joe popped up through a hatch to an underground installation that must have been there for decades, which probably didn't exist. So don't go saying somewhere else. Location will not help. If I'm 1 step ahead of what you're about to say, what about a man of Joe's resources? This whole problem needs a new form of mathematics to be solved. I mean, forget base 8 or 10 or quantum mathematics. This would have to be mathematics based on the adventures of a time-traveling private detective.
What do you mean, Prof? Divide 2 flatfoots by 1 doll, carry the snitched, multiply by some sleazy dive?
Yeah, and what would that mean?
Yeah, see, I'm just saying is all.
Yeah, well, don't.